going on, everybody? Welcome to the Betting News Network, and this is the Violence Report. Excited to have you guys with us right here on YouTube, on Twitch, or if you're watching this on X Live. We appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out for the Violence Report, talking all about the UFC. And this week, we are going to be diving into the massive pay-per-view event we have in Las Vegas as UFC 317 is here. We have just in the house, and we have the man in the octagon, Mr. Trizzy Betts. My name is Sweatpan Jesus. Stoked to have you guys here stopping by and hanging out with us. If you're watching this live on YouTube right now or on Twitch or on X, we appreciate you tuning in. If you're watching this video later on YouTube, thanks so much for stopping by. We're going to help you guys go fight by fight and break down everything that we're going to see on Saturday in UFC 317, brought to you by our sponsors at Bet Online, right above Mr. Sukh's head. And get involved with Bet Online with the QR code in the top corner of the screen. You can bet every single fight, sharpest line in the industry in the UFC. Get involved with all their content as well. Boys, it's going to be a fun card this weekend. We're doing it for the first time a little bit earlier in the week to everybody have some time to kind of marinate on this card. I know Trizzy's been deep in the lab and kind of looking into this event. We're going to talk all about it over the next hour, but how we living? Ready to rock and roll?
Vibing, man. I was just watching the press conference. I think that shit got over like an hour ago or so. Mm-hmm. Funny as hell, man. Money Moicano. I can't wait for that fight.
I know. The main event's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be great, both of these fighters. I love how just, again, my MMA casualness, obviously getting more and more into it over the last 6 months. But these guys, I feel like, are just super respectable. Like, I feel like that they have a really high level of respect to each other, but also to the sport. Obviously, when you get inside the octagon, they want to beat the shit out of each other. But I feel like of all the fighters we have, they have a pretty high level of integrity, which is cool to see, especially when they're staring each other down in that particular moment.
We're already seeing them have those moments where they're hugging in between, and then it all seems very amicable. And then Topuria sits down for an interview and says, "I'm going to walk this guy in a minute." So it does change up.
Yeah.
Might
not be lying though. It might not even be a confidence thing. How can you not believe him at this point? You know, he said it for Volk and did it. You know, he said it for Max and did it. It's like everything he's saying, he's kind of proven right now. So,
and Max's chin was supposed to be the unstoppable thing, and he really stopped him.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate you, Prindy. Not a lot of crazy names. There are a couple that I did learn to make sure that I was up to snuff on my name pronunciation today to get through the entire card. But if this is your first time tuning in, thanks for stopping by. We're going to do this every single main event for all the pay-per-view events for the entire summer for the UFC. So if you enjoy the content, give us a like and a follow right here on YouTube or on Twitch. And thank you so much for tuning into the content. And you guys are going to really enjoy what Mr. Trizzy Betts has to say about this card. We're going to go fight by fight with you guys. We're going to give you some analysis. There are some fights that we might spend a little more time on, break down a little bit more. As Trizzy was saying before we got started, there's a few of these fighters that we don't know a lot about. There's some of them that we're just kind of have to wait and see what happens in the octagon. But we're still going to talk about all of them. There are not a lot of wide spreads, to be very honest. There's not a lot of wide lines. A lot of are fairly close. I mean, there are some, some minus 300s and minus 2500s that I'm staring at. But most of these lines are relatively within reach. Interestingly enough, the main event being one of the ones that's a little bit more of a wider line than we might expect. But we'll talk about that at the end of the show. So thanks very much for being here. Like I said, if you're watching this on YouTube later in the week, give us a comment, drop some stuff in the replies, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy betting the UFC. And we're going to give you guys all the moves. And as always, go to bettingnews.com to check out Trizzy's analysis of the entire cards. He already has the information out there from earlier in the week. And on Saturday morning, he will have his kind of best bets for you guys that we'll be talking about that we're going to go into right now as well. So before we jump in, I just want to give you a second, Triz, to talk about this live with the people because we've talked about it a little bit. We've had a chance to kind of gab about it, but we had major breaking news, obviously, over the last 10 days in the UFC world as Jon Jones has officially retired in the heavyweight division. As a guy who followed Jones in his entire career, we've had a lot of discussions about this. I just want to give you a second to kind of talk about your opinions about this. Aspinall obviously taking over now as the undisputed heavyweight and what that division looks like moving forward now.
Don't hold back, Triz.
Yeah, I know. So at face value, it really looks like he just did not want to fight Tom. But the more that comes out about this legal case he's going through, I don't think the UFC gave him much of a choice. I think he kind of had to retire because he's about to go through a whole nother like TMZ style case. And can't really sell a fight when your guy might, actually do some time. So I mean, maybe he's not fully done, and he just needs to figure this shit out first. But I mean, if he is, and like he had a choice in the matter, it's an all-time duck. It has to be an all-time duck. There's no other way you can look at it. You can't say that like he entertained it, which was the issue. Like if he didn't entertain it and like was kind of like firm he was going to retire, he should have done it a long time ago. Like he was like toying with it. He kept like rage baiting people. It made it even worse, you know.
It's what Tom said. You did it the worst way possible.
Yeah, it's really it. It's like I don't blame him for not wanting to fight Tom. Like Tom's the biggest test he's probably ever had, you know, like even if you want to go back 20 years, like when he was fighting like Shogun as a kid and stuff, like he's never been like so evenly or even outmatched in some areas, like ever. He's always been the bigger fighter, the faster fighter, there's whatever the case may be. But Aspinall had him covered in a few areas, and I think he was having a few nightmares about it, and maybe that's why, you know, he decided to bow out a little bit. He's talking about how he opened another business and blah, blah. I mean, he's going to fight this court case because they're going to pursue that shit for like a while. He already has a record in Las Vegas, so it's where it's out of, you know. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe he beats it in 6 months and Tom makes 2 title defenses and they fight next year. That's possible. Who knows? Because then it's an auto cop out too. Because he'll take a year off, you know, and like,
but he shelved Tom for 352 days or something like that.
I don't think if you look at the division, if you really look at the division, I don't think it really mattered. If we're being honest, you know, look at the contenders. Like, does it really matter? Did it really matter that he was on the shelf? What are you going to do? Have him fight Cyril Gane? Cyril Gane basically just lost to Volkov, but he's like the highest contender technically. What are you going to do? Have him fight Volkov again? He ran through Volkov in a round. Like, you know, like Pavlovich isn't doing that good anymore. Like, there's not really like many like surging guys in the heavyweight division. It's slim pickets. You know, that was the fight, bro. Like that was the fight. You know what I'm saying? Like,
do you think that this affects? And when we can table this and we can get into the actual fights we're going to talk about this weekend, which there's a lot of really good ones. Do you think that this changes his status as the quote unquote GOAT? Do you think that conversation now has to change based upon how this all kind of has ended?
I mean, I feel like, I don't know. It's tough, man. It's tough because like he can be the GOAT and still be a bitch at the same time. You know what I mean? Like if that makes sense, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like he can still be a pussy, but still at the same time be the greatest of all time until somebody's better, you know? Like, it's just, it puts a stain on his legacy, I would say, you know?
Well, this is kind of
his legacy is, his legacy is kind of already covered in stains. So it's like,
So do you think Dana finally drops he's the GOAT, he'll always be the GOAT? Because now he said it the last few interviews, but the tone of his voice has changed. He's not saying it with so much emphasis anymore.
No. It's because like he was the baddest for a long time. He wasn't just like the best, he was like the baddest. Like, you know what I mean? Like the standing front choke over Machida where he just walks away like a badass, and like he never said no to a fight for the most part. What he did to DC was disgusting. You know what I mean? He talked shit to DC for months. Like he never really like turned down fights and shit like that. He was just taking everything and beating everybody. So like now the tone does kind of have to change a little bit, you know, but he can still like, I still think he's probably the GOAT skill wise, win wise, reign wise. Like
this is one of those situations where you have to, and this is tough for us as a society right now. You have to remove your opinions of the person and just judge the athlete. And it's difficult, especially with individual athletes, to remove, especially a guy who's done some very questionable things in his personal life. But when you just put him in the octagon and we're talking about the fighter, like you said, GOAT, Mount Rushmore from the chat. I mean, I think he's still up there for sure, but it's kind of difficult always to disassociate sometimes. But anyway, we got a lot of time. We got a lot of time to talk about it well, a lot of people do.
I low-key wish. Yeah.
So dirty. Come on. Like, you're changing guys' careers trajectory, and you know it. You're talking about how the fact that you know it, that dudes are different once they get in there with you, and you're fucking throwing those.
Yeah. It's a fact, man. He was dominant. He was dominant. He took out some of the best fighters in the world. I kind of wish he would have just came back, like won the belt from Gone, and just like that was it. Or like after Miocic, like they both kind of retired that night. That his legacy would have been saved in a way, even if he still caught this case afterwards. Nobody would have given a fuck. He already retired.
It was gone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
plus now he's got the case too, so it's like you can't even. He's saying, "Yeah, I'm done. I just don't want to fight no more." But in reality, like, bro, you're about to fight a whole like serious case. You have like,
and you implicated your brothers into it.
Yes,
there's the police tape is coming out. You're uttering threats to law enforcement officers. It's an absolute mess.
Well, again, we're gonna see if this. I didn't think about it like you said, but there is a possibility that this could end up circling back, because I mean, nobody's ever fully retired. I mean, look at Tom Brady, to circle it back to something that you fully know.
Amanda Nunes is retired twice.
Yeah, there you go. And she's back. Yep, there you go. Shout out to that. We don't have to talk about that right now, but that fight is going to be awesome. We'll get there at some point. But anyway, there's your thoughts on John Jones and what happened, obviously, with him hanging up the glove or putting down the gloves. Maybe, possibly, don't know. We'll see how that ends up playing out over the next months or so. But let's see how we do with going on this weekend. Got a huge event, obviously, the pay-per-view in Vegas, 3/17. Let's just jump straight into it. We're going to go straight to the early prelims. We are going to go fight by fight with you guys. Trizzy's going to give you his analysis. He's going to give you the bets that he has already locked in. A lot of these lines, if you're watching us live on Thursday evening, are probably where they're at right now. If you end up watching this later in the week on Friday or on Saturday morning, some of these lines might be different. So apologies if the lines have changed whenever you watch this recording, but this is what we're working with live as we go right now. So let's dive in. First fight on the card, Jackson McVeigh versus Christopher Ewert. Ewert minus 152, McVeigh plus 124 on the money line here. I know you said you don't have a bunch to say about both of these guys, but what are you kind of looking at with this one?
Well, so we can start by saying McVeigh had a different opponent at the beginning of the week. He was supposed to fight Dumas, Cedric Dumas. We were just talking about legal troubles. That dude's on an ankle monitor. He couldn't get the ankle monitor off in time to make the event this weekend, so they had to make another fight on short notice. Just a point to make. I thought that was very, very funny. But
that is very.
I don't know why
I think I saw pictures of this guy on social media, and then somebody said it, and I was like, "There's no way this is true." And I looked it up, and I was like, "Wow, okay, yeah, he actually legit has an ankle monitor on." Okay,
yeah. Why? I don't get why they booked him with the like that. To me, that seems like something the UFC like needs to know or should have already known. Like,
sure.
I digress. Ewert was supposed to make his. He was supposed to make his debut on the Contender Series here in a couple of months anyway. They just pulled him up a little early. McVeigh was never scheduled for the Contender Series, but he got the call against Dumas, and there was some funny line movement in that fight as well. One day I was looking at it. I think I went to go do the odds article on Monday or Tuesday, and the day before I looked at it, and Dumas was minus 160. And then when I went to go start the article, McVeigh was minus 160. And then fight gets canceled, but yeah, I'm sure the sports books had nothing to do with that. You know, just a dollar of CLV for a lot of people. Who cares?
Real quick, before you talk about this, before you jump into that, because I don't know the answer to this. If you bet on a fighter, like if you bet McVeigh at that price, right, at the plus money value, because it's obviously, or I guess the other way around. If the fighter changes, does the original bet void because the fighter was going to play? So you'd have to rebet whatever the line would be with the current fight. So the fighter being in the fight still doesn't matter. It's the fight you would change it, and it would have to be the new better, the new lines, right?
Yeah, it's like a whole different game. It's
okay.
It is what it is, but this is going to be a good fight. This should be a very good fight, in my opinion. This McVeigh kid is pretty good. He's got a decent little BJJ game. There's not much tape on him. He's only got 6 fights. He's undefeated though, not fighting really anybody. His last fight was like probably his best fight. It was the highest competition he's fought. He fought at LFA. He got the win there. He's finished. I think he has a 100% finish rate. But this fight does fit the system. I have the system. The system lost for the first time last week, but
He does, Trizzy.
I mean, yeah, it fits the system. This fight was made like on 4 days' notice. Both these guys can crack, so it's going to be a little sketchy. This Ewart kid is like very good. I was like very impressed with what I could find on him, but this guy's not fighting anybody either. You know, he's just fighting guys like with like 3 fights on their record. He's got a win over a guy that has 10 losses. He's 0-10, so it's like he only has 7 wins. It's a make or break fight kind of. This was a guy that would have been perfect to put on the Contender Series and really see how he is, but like his skills look like they're probably going to translate to the UFC level, in my opinion. I think this fight's probably going to be a banger, and I'm going to end up taking the over 1.5. Right now, it's I think it's sitting at -135. So I'm probably going to take that and just follow the system. Keep running with it until it burns you.
Nice. I mean, you are dealing blind a tiny bit because, again, you don't have a lot to go off of both of these guys. And if you guys have watched Trizzy previously, you know he goes super in depth with the analysis of the tape and stuff like that. So be fun to see 2 guys kind of looking to find their foothold in the UFC and get involved and taking the over 1.5 to get us started. Anything else you want to say on this one, or should we keep it moving through the early prelims?
No, but this is one of those fights that like will like perfectly fit the system because like it's 4 days notice. Both of these guys like didn't know anything about each other at all. And they're kickboxers anyway. Both of them have decent chins, as you can see, because they both like to get punched sometimes. They absorb a lot of significant strikes if they're not knocking the dude out real quick. So it could just be a good feeling out process for first 6 minutes, and maybe there was a no finish clause written into the contract that was signed like 3 days ago. So
yeah. Start us off with some entertainment, boys. Get us rolling.
Oh yeah.
Love to see it. Good stuff. All right, let's keep it going. We'll go through the other 2 early prelims and we'll jump to the preliminary card. Johanata Deniz versus Alvin Hines. Hines, pretty heavy underdog here, +250. Deniz -325. We've talked about Deniz previously. What are you kind of thinking in this fight?
Heavyweight.
So, heavyweights. Again, this is going to show you how slim this division is because Deniz is a prospect, and like
at 34.
At 34, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. His last fight, he got TKO technically. Marcin Tybura put his elbow like through his head and then through the mat, ripped his eye open or something. Like he was getting taken down at will in that fight. And I mean, Alvin Hines is not, I don't know if this guy's UFC level, because again, this fight was also thrown together on really short notice here. This is also a fight that's going to fit the system to a T. I will blindly tail this one, especially with heavyweights. And Alvin Hines is looking like a guy that likes to wrestle. So Dinas was just taken down. I don't know if it's going to translate to the UFC level. I don't know if Hines' wrestling is going to actually translate, but I mean, it might. Dinas was getting kind of taken down rather easily against Tybura. Granted, Tybura is a really good wrestler, but it didn't seem like he knew what to do when he was on his back for the most part. So like I can't trust it. I wouldn't trust it at that price as well. Like that there's not much value in a -350. At the same time, this dude's coming off a loss. It's a real big step down in competition for sure. Tybura is like a seasoned veteran within the UFC, but 350 is not a price I want to like.
Hines' first fight, correct, in the UFC?
Yeah, Hines' first fight. They just signed him for this fight because they needed somebody to fill in. So he's getting his opportunity here. I don't know if he is a prospect. He's undefeated. So again, that's kind of why I like it towards the system as well. The system fits more when they're bringing a guy in, or like taking a guy that has a future with them. Like you wouldn't want the guy to just get finished when you first time you sign him. You know, it make it a little bit more of like a sparring match in some ways. You know, these guys are kind of taking their time with things, blah blah blah. In this case, I think he might actually get Dinas down for the first round, and once Dinas is down, he doesn't know what to do to get up. He's kind of like a fish out of water. So I think this over would probably only take one Hines takedown. And then I do think Diaz is probably going to get the win here. He's like I said, he's been at the UFC level. He's probably has a little bit more power in his hands. Hines doesn't seem like he's got the best striking defense. It's kind of like, I don't want to say he's takedown a bust because he does throw his hands a little bit. He's a little active with them, but he needs a takedown here. That's for damn sure. So I'm going to take the over 1.5 again. I'll follow the system again. Some big boys throwing leather early. Nice tight butthole for early in the card, give you something really to sweat here. I don't trust Diaz at -350. I wouldn't. I would probably stay far the fuck away from that. But I mean, he'd probably win here. Maybe a sloppy decision, late KO or something.
So 2 early overs to get the vibes rolling in the early prelims, and then we'll finish it off with a -2,500 favorite, Jacoby Smith, -2,500 versus.
I wanted to say one more thing about that last fight. I think a really good, if you want to play Diaz in that fight, I think a really good prop, I might actually end up playing it, is Diaz. I think FanDuel lets you do this too. You can take round 3 or decision. So Diaz can find the KO in round 3 and you still cash. Or if it goes to decision, you still cash it. I think it's a fat plus money number there. And I think the juice might be worth the squeeze there, especially if we think on a short notice fight here. Follow the system a little bit. You think Diaz still gets the win. You might find the late KO, but it might end up going a little over.
You get kind of to win both ways in that way too, which is nice. Cool. All right. Now we can go to the -2,500 favorite. Jacoby Smith taking on Nico Price +10 to 1 basically. Plus 1,040 is Price on the money line. There's got to be some type of angle to take this fight, or is this just one where you go grab a beverage and watch it pass by? What are you thinking about this one?
No, I got an angle.
All right,
let's go.
I got an angle. There's always an angle, man. There's always an angle. There's some value everywhere, always.
Sure.
So Smith is working to be the biggest favorite in UFC history. He is on his way. In some spots, he already is. I believe the biggest favorite was like -2,700, and I saw him -3,000 in some spots. So he is. It's 100% warranted. Price does not have a chin. He got knocked out by Robbie Lawler in his retimement fight. It was the fakest shit you've ever seen. If you see it, go watch that fight and tell me he didn't take a dive there. I won't believe you. Like it's not happening. So again, this is like setup fight of all setup fight. It's like it's set up so perfectly for Smith to get like such a highlight reel KO. I believe I think the KO is -3. I remember putting it in my article and laughing as I was typing it because it's like -350 or something for him to win by KO, which again is kind of where I found this little angle here. Jacoby Smith does not have a single submission win, and the submission prop is like +430 on Bet Online. He does not have one sub in his whole career, and it's only 4 to 1. And the KO prop is like -350 or -370. I thought that was entirely fishy. I don't know. It's not like this guy's really like going for a bunch of submission attempts. His hands are so heavy. If he lands, the guy goes down. He doesn't even have a chance. So I don't know why it's 4 to 1. I think that's like a little sus. I really think it should be like 7.5, 10 to 1. The guy has no subs. Like he has no.
But he's been working with Khabib, Triz. He's been working with Khabib on and off for a few years. The people know about it. You might be on to something, my guy.
I think I am, and like that is what I'm playing here. It's like I said, it's +430. If it's +430 on Bet Online, once these domestic books open the methods, they're not going to be close. They're not going to know. Dude's -2,700. The KO is going to be -300. They're going to probably set the line closer to what I think it should be at, like 7 to 1, 8 to 1, 9 to 1. 10 to 1. That's probably where it should be at. Like I said, this dude does not have a sub. And Price doesn't have a chin. It's like not many people would even imagine. And I imagine if they're running fight simulations, I don't think in a quarter of those simulations, Smith even gets a chance to throw down a sub. So why it's that low, I don't know. I'm going to pay to find out. 4.5 to 1. I'll probably have like a half unit on there, and if he gets the sub, I'll feel like a genius and laugh at everybody that took the -300 KO prop.
Hey, Jacob's got the DNA. SPJ, his dad was drafted by the Raiders.
Oh wow, okay, previous football player. Okay,
Mhm.
this is one of those moments where if this happens, this will be clipped 100%. This will get totally
100%.
clipped and posted all over our social media.
Yeah, for real.
Word.
It's a tinfoil hat play. It's like, it's
Sure.
one of those. It's one of those. What do they know that we don't know? Because like I would never set that line there. Like,
Well, it's one of those things too, and we've talked about this a lot with the UFC in general. Like, how do you find this fight and make it a parlay buster somehow? Like you
Mhm.
said, people,
exactly.
you're not going to throw a minus 2,700 in a parlay, right? But maybe people are looking at it and going, he's going to win easy by KO minus 300. Yeah, that
Oh, the
sounds good. I'll
KO's
throw that.
probably everywhere.
I'll throw that in my parlay, and then, like you said, the
Oh,
sub
yeah.
is where they get you. So
You
could he knock him
remember
out like
this
you
is
said?
actually
Yeah, sure.
perfect example of this a couple of weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, perfect example of this. Cody Brundage fought Mansour Abdul Malik, and Mansour Abdul Malik didn't want to fight for like the first 2 rounds. They started actually fighting. He was like a minus 2,000 favorite, huge juice. His KO prop was like minus 250. So then he finally starts fighting in the 3rd round. Him and Brundage like headbutt, and then he like knocks him out. But because it was a headbutt, they went to a technical decision instead of giving him the KO. So anybody that took the KO prop got fucked. And anybody that took a decision prop got so lucky because like there was 3.5 minutes left of the 3rd round or something like that. So, yeah.
Damn. All right. Well, you already got some chatters that are going to take the sub with you. So let's go. You guys will have some fun with that. Also, this is the first time I've seen you since you gave us the vibes last week because you were hinted out and having some fun. Yeah. Hey, brother. But you gave us a winner. So shout out to you for Fizzy-Av Moneyline. It was always Fizzy-Av Moneyline.
It was the only, I had an irresponsible amount of money on it floating down Saco River in New Hampshire, having time in my life. Like
nothing better than doing that and then smacking a bet along the way. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
So good shout out on you for that one. All right, so that's the end of the early prelims. Let's jump into the preliminary rounds, and then we'll get to the main event after that. If you're watching the video with us on YouTube, thanks so much for tuning in. Like I said, later on Friday or on Saturday before the fights, drop a like on the video or subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. We do this every single main pay-per-view event for the UFC, and obviously we do all of our content here at bettingnews.com and on Betting News Network on all the socials, so get involved with everything we got moving forward. This is probably, of all the research I've done on this entire fight, Triz, this is the one I want to know the most about. So I'm not going to tell you why, but I'm really excited to hear you talk about this fight. Terrence McKinney versus Slava Claus. Slav Borshev plus 142 right now. McKinney minus 176 on the money line. Very interested to hear your thoughts about this fight. I really hope that you like Slava Claus as much as I do, but I have a feeling that you may.
Don't go breaking his heart.
Tell me what you're thinking here.
I might break your heart, but what I will say here is we can start by saying this. The whole premise of this show was based on fights like this one. Like this fight is going to be
violence.
There's no way it's not. Like Terrence McKinney does not know how to fight any other way but forward, and Slava Claus doesn't have the best chin, but he's a pretty good kickboxer, and McKinney's been put out flatline cold too many times. So like he was
like 6.
Yeah, like a little too many times. You know what I mean? What I will say is I think McKinney is so, I've been saying this, he's so skilled. I've bet him for like years and years and years. He's just so good for the first like 5 minutes. And then after that, he is like an entirely different fighter. He's not the same guy. It's like his mouth starts hanging open. That's probably why he gets knocked out a lot. And he starts sucking wind and he can't get the takedowns and the striking defense goes right out the fucking window. And it's like, I just in a fight with Slava Claus, which that's like really, really like entirely dangerous. If this fight gets extended, if this fight gets into the second round, and I have a Terrence McKinney money line ticket, I got like probably a tight bubble. Like it ain't gonna look pretty, you know. Terrence McKinney, I think, has the easiest path, though, in my opinion. We just watched Hooper kind of do whatever he wanted to Slava Claus on the ground. Like it was like another thing that really scared me in Slava Claus's last fight with Chase Hooper is before he got subbed, Chase Hooper knocked him down. Like Chase Hooper is not a powerful striker. He's not a like feared striker. Like it's not his game. He's a BJJ specialist, and he knocked him down with like a heavy overhand right. If that's happening, like even the ghost to Terrence McKinney is like, if he lands in the slightest bit, he is going to put you down like that. So I think Terrence McKinney is pretty stupid. He's probably going to play into Slaviklaz's game. Not like stupid as a fighter. His fight IQ is very low. Like Hadzovic took him a long time to like do the easiest path to victory in that fight. I think he might do the same thing here. If he really wanted to, I think he can kind of march across the octagon and take Slava down like at will if he really wanted to. I think he could find the back of Slava here. Slava's a guy that's been subbed multiple times. Terrence McKinney has a great BJJ game. He just does not have the cardio or the gas tank to like implement it for a full 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And if he really goes heavy grappling, he's basically selling out to do it because the rest of the fight he's just going to be stuck in wind. So I think if you want to take a McKinney money line, I'm probably not going to be. You can't trust McKinney's chin at all at any juice in my opinion anymore. So I won't be taking McKinney money line, but I'm looking at a McKinney by sub for sure. It's been a while since he locked up a sub. Slava's a guy that can be subbed and has been subbed. I think this fight just ends early, one way or another. It's Slava probably finding the KO shot early round 2, or I think McKinney might end up finding the submission here in probably round 1. If I have to, because like I said, anything more than 7 minutes, he's cooked. So, and this is a good live bet opportunity. I will say, if this fight does make it to the second round, no matter the line, I would probably be going to the window and trying to bet Slava at whatever price I could. If this fight makes it to the 6th, 7th minute, just take Slava because McKinney won't be there. It'll be a shell of McKinney there. He'd be sucking wind. All striking defense is just out the window. He's just throwing heavy, overextending. It's why he's been KO'd a few times. I don't expect him to make any changes. It's kind of who he is as a fighter. I don't think he can not be that way. It's just it's what makes him so exciting, to be honest. He's a be killed fighter. Goes out on his shield, or the shield works. And it hasn't been working too much. Like
Yo, both these guys have shaky recent history, so there's a reason why you're seeing that under super juicy.
Yeah, it did. It's very rare. I think McKinney's been over one. No, I don't think he actually. McKinney has never been over 1.5 rounds in his entire career. I don't think he has not. Wow, he's never reached 7.5 minutes in a fight ever.
That makes sense.
He's been out of the
so plus money juiced, and the under is incredibly juiced. All right, well,
he's only been out of the first round twice.
Wow, Jesus. You know me. And Chad, if you don't know me, I am not the UFC expert. That is why we have Trizzy on this program. But I've gotten a little more into it over the last 6 months. This is my first time giving you guys SPJ's official bet of the week. I'm taking Slaviklaz on the money line. I like Slaviklaz in this fight. I've watched some of his tape. Like you said, I've seen some McKinney stuff. If McKinney gets this done early, then it's fine. I feel fine losing a half unit on this. But I'm taking Slaviklaz, man. I feel like that he's going to kick him in the fucking head or something. He's going to knock him over and he's going to kill him. So I like this dude's rambunctious style. And I don't know, something about this guy just kind of draws me in. So I'm gonna give it.
Yeah, he brings you joy, SPJ, and that's why Uriah Faber actually gave him the name. Is wherever Slaviklaz goes, he's spreading joy. So hopefully he cashes your ticket, gives you some joy.
Yeah.
As long as Trizzy didn't say to me, "This is a dumbass bet," that was all I needed to know. But as soon as he said that it could be, I looking at both of these dudes, like you said, looking at the little bit of tape that I was looking at, one of them is going to get just absolutely rambunctiously smacked in the face, and this is going to be over. And I hope that Slaviklaz does it with his beard.
And then you get the dance.
I'm telling you, man, if this fight makes it, if the bell sounds at the end of the first round, that plus money number you have on Slava is going to look beautiful, because I guarantee you within a minute of that second round, he'll be minus 200 live. 100%.
This is like this doesn't remind me of this necessarily, but this is like when you were talking to me a couple weeks ago about was it Usman in that main event when he was super plus money, and like he came out in the first two minutes of that round and the line just completely flipped the other direction, and it was never close until the last like couple minutes of that fight. But I'm hoping for something like that. We shall see. But all right, so there you go. There's Trizzy's thoughts. He kind of leans a little more with McKinney by sub, but could be one of those situations where it's just whoever just lands something big at some point early on in this fight. Give me the Slava clause, just because I like the beard. All right, let's keep it moving. We got a few more to get to in the early. Any other thoughts on that fight, or should we keep it going?
No, sir. I said, violent fight. If you're gonna watch any fight on the prelim, it should probably be that one.
Well, that's the other reason why I want to have some skin on it too, because I'm looking forward to watching these dudes throw some haymakers and see what hits. All right, let's go to the ladies now. Vivian Arejo versus Tracy Cortez. Cortez minus 260, Arejo plus 205 here. What's your thoughts with the first lady fight we have on the card?
We can start by saying Cortez is an absolute smoke show. Like absolute smoke show. It is good for the UFC if this woman stays around and she wins. You know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, I remember back in the day, like when I first watched it and I was like young and like horny and like, testosterone flowing, and Miesha Tate used to look so good. She got her ass kicked a few times, your face a little disfigured, blah, blah, blah. I don't think Tracy Cortez is ever going to get that fucked up, if we're being honest here. So, I like her in this fight too. She stepped up short notice to be like serious about it. She stepped up.
Expert analysis, chat. This is why you tune into this show. First thing, smoke show.
And real quick before Triz gets into it, she's got a great story as well, boy. She actually started MMA training because of her brother, who was kind of friends with Cejudo. He won his first fight and tragically passed away from cancer shortly after in 2011. And she actually was training and got serious after her brother passed away. So she fights in his honor. She's the up-and-coming prospect. So besides what Trizzy said, like if you're taking it serious, this is an important fight for the UFC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and at the same time too, I think it's not the best matchup for her. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just think Rahu at this point in her career is going to be just too slow to keep up. She's just going to be too. I don't think every time she goes to throw, Cortez won't be there. Cortez just did she just did a favor for the UFC, saved the main event. I don't know, it was last year in July, so nobody really remembers it, but she stepped in on short notice in the co-main or main event to fight Rose Namajunas, and she put on a banger of a fight. It was a very close fight, and Rose has kind of proven that she's hanging around still. She's not the ghost of Rose past. Like she's still top of the division here. So I think this is a nice get right spot for Cortez. She hasn't fought in almost a year. She's going to come back and probably get right, throw her name right back at the top of the rankings here. She's got to get a little bit more active. I think she's fighting like once a year. Maybe it's because she's so hot. You got to protect the face. But
she might be doing some other. She might be doing some other appearances and other things.
Yeah, and, I mean, shit. She wouldn't have to fight if she started the OnlyFans. I swear. I swear. If she actually started the OnlyFans, like the real OnlyFans,
not like, to derail us. Have you guys seen those graphics all over the timeline of like an athlete's salary versus an OnlyFans girl, and it's like, Jesus Christ, my guy.
Yeah, for real.
Well, I'm sure that when we edit this video later, there's a couple graphics will pop up on the screen for you guys to look at through this particular portion of the show. But any bets on this fight?
Yeah, so Cortez will be in my Bozo pack. That's not official yet. I'm still deciding on my second or third leg, but this is 100% my first leg. So she's going to be in the Bozo pack, and it's not because she's hot. It's because I think she's going to run circles around Vivian Arojo.
Yeah,
in a little bit. Yeah.
The talent. Nice.
Multifaceted talent.
Multifaceted, indeed. All right. Anything else you want to say on this one, or should we keep it rolling?
No, Vivian. I mean, I didn't really touch Araujo. She just got a great win over a prospect in Karine Silva, so it's going to make her look pretty good. But even in that win, she didn't really do much. She just did more than Karine Silva. And Karine Silva didn't do anything. So it's like Cortez is a very active fighter in there. So I just think she's going to touch her up. Araujo's kind of a girl that she'll just kind of plant. And I think that's going to be the worst possible game plan against Cortez.
Nice. All right. Let's keep it moving to the other two prelim fights. Excited to hear what you have to say about those, and then we'll jump to the main event. Haider Amil versus Jose Delgado. Delgado, a little bit closer line here, minus 162. Amil plus 126. Back to the men. What are you thinking on this one?
I need your thoughts on Haider, bro.
Oh, this is a violent fight too, bro. This is a violent fight too. I love both of these fighters. I would say.
Right.
I think Haider Amil's a great prospect. He's just a little. He's at a weird age, man. He's at 35. For the division he's in. He's at a weird age. It's like kind of shit. Get off the pot now. It's kind of he's either going to be the guy that just puts on wars, or he's going to actually make a run at the title here. And I'm having a hard time deciding which, if I'm being honest here. Haider Amil is an underdog in every fight, and he comes in and just dogs his way to win. So I think it's weird that he's an underdog again. Jose Delgado is very skilled, but it's a guy he's lost before. And the dude he lost to is like, I don't think he's like the best. You know what I mean? He has a few losses on his record too. He's not fighting out of a great promotion. He might end up coming back around to the UFC, but he's a little old. I don't know here. They're gonna meet in the middle and just throw down. This is gonna be a very violent fight as well. I think this little section of fights here is gonna be real good. You get it started with McKinney, and then you're gonna get that chick fight in between, something real good to look at, and then you get this one. Where they're just going to meet in the middle. It's going to be the epitome of fighting. They're just going to meet in the middle and throw down until somebody goes down. Haider Amil's chin is like ungodly. It's like putting Dober's chin to like shame. He can just take anything, and he just fires back. I've been watching fighting long enough to know that shit is going eventually. That it doesn't just stay forever. BJ Penn didn't get knocked out for like years and years and years, and then just went on a run of being knocked out all the time. Like Max Holloway's chin was supposed to be like legendary, and Topuria landed like one flush shot and he was out. So it's gonna go eventually. I just don't know if I don't know if Delgado will be able to land in the fashion that it needs to be done to put him away. I think it's going to be kind of more of a stick and move type thing. I like the over here. I do really like the over here. I don't think I think the only way this fight goes under is if Amil finds the finish, but I kind of feel like Delgado is going to just kind of touch him up over the course of 15 minutes. I just think he's going to be he'll be the faster fighter. Amil's just might have a little bit of a hard time finding him. And like I said, by kind of dancing around like that and like sticking on the outside and chopping leg kicks and stuff, I don't think Delgado is going to be able to really sit down on anything that would actually crack Amil's chin, because it seems like somebody needs to take a baseball bat in there to crack Amil's chin at this point. So I lean Delgado here, but I lean Delgado by decision. I'm probably just going to take the over 2.5 rounds, if I'm being honest here. I think I like the plus money number there. That's pretty much it, man. These guys they're going to throw down, but I trust Amil's chin to make it 15 minutes. Delgado's chin is a little bit more shaky, I would say.
Okay. So the over, leaning a little more towards Delgado. I'm sure you'll probably maybe have some more thoughts about this fight or something else a little deeper on Saturday, but a little more for the over for that fight. All right, let's close it out with the main event of the prelims before we jump to the actual main card. Jack Hermanson versus Gregory Rodriguez. A little bit of a higher line here. Minus 240 is Rodriguez. Plus 182 is Hermanson. What's your thoughts on the last fight of the prelims?
So Gregory Rodriguez is such a hard fighter to handicap, in my opinion. He's here and then he's there, and then his chin's there and then it's not there, and then like he's a great wrestler and then he can't get a takedown. He's a really hard fighter to handicap. Hermanson, I think in his last fight you saw what he can do if he just sticks and moves. He just takes like abnormal time, like amounts of time outside of the cage. Like I don't know why he hasn't fought in as long as he has. Maybe it's an injury, but I mean, it's been a full year in like 4 months. It's like almost a 16-month layoff. I don't know why he took that long. He just beat a top prospect in Joe Pyfer. You would think you want to couple that into some momentum, and you know what I mean? Like, especially before that, he had lost like 3 of his last 5. So it's like he wasn't on the best run. He gets a great win over a prospect and just disappears for a year. What I will say is he's a tough matchup for somebody like Gregory Rodriguez, because he can stick and move and run around, which is exactly what he did to Joe Pyfer. He really stifled Joe Pyfer's offense, and I think he might be able to do the same exact thing to Gregory Rodriguez. The only difference is Gregory Rodriguez might not be as durable as Pyfer was. So, in this fight, I believe he did that to Pyfer over the course of 5 rounds, and this is a 15-minute fight, so he's going to be even more fresh. If Rodriguez gets his hands on Hermansson, it could be an issue as far as like the ground and pound goes. But Hermansson's great on the ground. He's got a great jiu-jitsu game. Like I think he would probably be fine if they start rolling around a little bit here. Rodriguez is big. Yeah, he's big. He's overpowering, but I think it's a tough matchup for him. Yeah, it's hard to imagine how he doesn't pick up back-to-back L's here. I think the line is way too wide, like way too wide. Especially Gregory Rodriguez is not proving anything in these fights. Every time he goes up, like really up in competition, he gets just like shoved right back down. You know what I mean? He's been knocked out by Bruno Ferreira, who I guess that loss is kind of aging a little bit better, but he got knocked out against Jared Cannonier after having Cannonier on skates for half the fight. He just got outlasted. So again, a very similar situation here. I don't think he's going to be able to find the knockout punch to put Hermansson away. Hermansson is probably going to be a guy that will quit quickly. Older fighter later in his career. I again took so much time off. I don't really know what he's like fighting towards at this point. So I kind of like Hermansson here as the underdog. Big parlay buster here. I don't think Rodriguez should be priced at what it is.
Chat's kind of agreeing with you with some of our chatters right now. Hermansson is a favorite dog of the night from some people as well, and could be a good way to finish off the prelim run. Like you said, a little parlay buster. Do you have an official unit on or half unit on Hermansson on the money line, or just kind of lean in that direction?
Not yet. I just kind of lean in that direction. I want to see where the late money comes in on a few of these, especially in underdog. I want to see where the late money comes in. Sure. All week it's been kind of steaming one way. So like I like to see a lot of the time sharps like to buy back on like fight day. That's when they'll like come back in because they've let the public run the line for the whole week. So I like to see what's going on like fight morning. Sometimes you'll go to sleep, an underdog is plus 200. You wake up, fight morning is plus 140. And then you see somebody put $1 million on the underdog or something, so.
Wait for those big money moves. Like you said, we've talked about this with the swings and shoots and ladders of the UFC throughout the week. Well, chat, if you like what you're hearing so far, obviously go peep Trizzy's article at bettingnews.com. He'll have that out Friday evening or Saturday morning to give you guys the latest updates on his favorite bets. We'll obviously be live as well on Saturday morning for afternoon Betspresso, or Betspresso in the morning time on Saturday to give you the violence report segment to talk about some of that, as well as you're watching this either on Friday or Saturday. And we're going to jump to the main event. Thanks so much for tuning in right here on YouTube, wherever you're watching us later. If you're watching the live recording, thanks so much for being here. If you're watching us later in the week, thanks for watching the record. Just give us a like and a subscribe on the channel to keep the channel rocking and rolling if you're a big fan of the UFC. And go follow Trizzy Bets as well for more UFC analysis. And follow all of our content at Your Betting News. All right, boys, let's jump into the main event. We've gotten to this particular point. It's going to be fun. There's some violent fights kind of leading up into the main event, and it seems like the main event's got a lot of violence in front of us as well. And it could be starting off with this first one. We'll jump right straight to it. Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. Lima minus 194 on the money line. Talbot plus 150. What are we kind of thinking with these two guys?
The UFC, man, it's like once they don't care, they don't care. Peyton Talbot loses a pretty, I don't know, he loses a decisive decision to Ronnie Barcelos, who he just gets wrestle fucked for 3 rounds, and then they like give him another crazy hard fight. You know what I mean? Like crazy hard fight. Like Felipe Lima is a dog. Like,
Mhm.
this is probably a harder fight than his last fight, and they just threw him right to the wolves here. I think it's a great matchup. I mean, as far as experience goes, he's going to gain a lot of experience in this fight. I think this fight is solely based on recency bias as well. Lima might have been losing that last fight before he found his submission. So he's being valued at -200 because he finished a fight in the third round where he might have needed a finish to win at all, you know? So it was a great fight. He ended up coming back and winning, like I said, but Peyton Talbot's been running through everybody that didn't try to take him down. Felipe Lima is not going to try to take him down. It's not going to happen. If he finds an opportunistic sub,
it's way smaller.
that's possible. If they start clinching, that's possible. As Sukh just said, he's a lot smaller than Peyton Talbot. Peyton Talbot's going to naturally be bigger than almost everybody in this division. He's a big body, but it's sizable. It's definitely sizable, and it's a tough matchup. I think it's a very, very tough matchup for both Lima and Talbot, because Lima is going to be a lot to deal with in the grappling department, I think. But Talbot's not a guy that's probably going to try to offensively grapple. So if Lima's not probably offensively grappling either. So I think these guys are just going to meet in the middle. And if they meet in the middle, who's going to still be standing after 10 minutes? Who's going to be walking forward after taking a beating after 10 minutes? Talbot's shown he does that in every fight. A lot of his finishes come in the third round. Lima looked like he was kind of slowing down towards the latter rounds of his last fight. So I do believe he took that last fight on short notice, but still, a little bit still. I think there's a lot of recency bias baked into this fight. I think Talbot might be a lot better than people are giving him credit for, just because he got taken down by a world-class wrestler too. It's not even like it was just some base wrestler. It's like, this dude is like the 3-time national champion of Brazil at wrestling. It's like, he's a very, very credentialed wrestler. It's not entirely surprising he did that to Talbot. It just showed him he needs to work on his takedown defense more. I don't think he's going to need too much of it here. I really don't. Maybe Lima gets him down early, but even when they're dry, but I don't. Lima's a dog too. I think they're just going to throw down. And if Talbot takes a lot of shots, but he's been able to wear them. So if he's just wearing these shots and he keeps walking forward, I don't know what that's going to do to Lima's mental at the end of the second round. And he's hit this kid with everything he has, and the kid's still walking forward. It's very demoralizing. So that's usually when Talbot is going to do his best work. So I think Talbot's a solid underdog here. I think this line's kind of a little wide. There's a lot of recency bias cooked into it. I like some Talbot round 3 props, like some Talbot round 3 KO props. That wouldn't be too bad, or a Talbot by decision prop. That's not too bad either. But I haven't made an official bet yet. I'm probably leaning Talbot here, man. I think people are selling a little bit too quick. Yeah, when I was just watching the press conference too, but when both fighters took the stage, Lima got right in his seat, no problem. Nobody said anything to him. Talbot, as he was walking by, he had a real conversation with Dana for like 2 minutes until they were done announcing the next fighter. So I thought that was a little interesting. They're more on like a talking basis. I think he's more of the developed prospect. I think this would be a great win for him, a great bounce back win.
I mean, for both of these two young kids, like if they on this event they make a name for themselves, that will look great. So Talbot really, after coming off the loss, he's got to outstrike this guy and remind everybody why he was such a prospect before.
Yep.
Agreed, man.
Great starter off for the main event card, because the next ones obviously are baked. There's a lot of narrative baked into all of these for particular reasons. So anything else on this one, or should we keep it moving?
No, man. No, I think that's going to be a banger, though, for sure. Nice.
Good stuff. All right. Yeah, we haven't talked about Dariush in a minute, but let's jump into Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. Moicano -122, Dariush -104. Pretty much a pick 'em depending on where you're shopping. Love to hear your thoughts on this one. What are we seeing here?
Real quick, Tris, before you go, I have a question for you. Did you know that Beneil exclusively only listens to old school Dean Martin or Sinatra? But besides that, the only modern music he listens to or cranks is Christian rock. I don't know how you can get hyped
know
up for that, but he's basically a minister.
Yeah,
Wow.
he basically is. He's really big into the church and stuff like that. To each his own. Honestly, I don't know when he found. I don't know if that was a part of his whole career, but he's been that way for a few years now.
Oh yeah,
and coming off back-to-back losses, I don't know if there's a connection there, but there might be.
It could be.
You see it. You see some of these
soft-hearted.
guys. Yeah, when some of these guys find like really get involved with the church and like find Jesus and stuff, they just change. They some of them lose the dog. Look at Rory McDonald. Rory McDonald was a dog. He found Jesus and was never the same. And
he's from
there's
Calgary,
nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there's he is. So
I don't know. Find out that Sean O'Malley's going to find Jesus soon and see how that affects his career. Maybe that's what
he might have getting rid of all his face tats and shit.
Sure. Yeah, man. He might have already found Jesus. It would explain the last fight.
Sure. Sure. He needs something.
For real.
There's nothing wrong with Jesus, but it's hard to fucking try to crack skulls when you're trying to save them.
It's so weird for me. Just a real quick tangent before you talk about this fight specifically. I feel like Kayla Harrison did this too after she won that big fight in their last main event. And she, like, the first thing she said was talking about how much she loved Jesus and stuff. And you're watching these people just pound the shit out of people and come out and be like, I want to thank Jesus for getting me through it. And I'm like, it's just something my brain just doesn't switch. But anyway, what are we thinking about Dariush and his ability with Jesus versus Moicano here?
So Money Moicano's coming off that title fight loss to Islam, where he stepped up on like a day's notice, did the UFC a huge favor there. Granted, he probably got a huge payday, but he definitely saved the card there. If he didn't take that fight, I don't know what would have happened. Usually, when guys are big company guys like that, they tend to like kind of throw it right back around to him, kind of throw him a bone. They might be doing that here with Moicano and Dariush. Dariush just seemed kind of checked out for a minute. His chin is like just gone. Granted, Moicano's chin is no better. Jalen Turner knocked him down like 3-4 times, and then he found the finish. So some refs stopped that fight before he beats Jalen Turner. So Dariush is a guy that carries some big power in that left hand. If he finds a home for that thing on Moicano, Moicano might not get up. But like I said, he just fought Islam, took a beating in that fight, got paid big, but also saved the UFC. I think they kind of just gave him this matchup here because they knew it's a very winnable matchup. I think if Moicano wrestles a little bit, granted Dariush has great scrambles and he's put on like grappling clinics against some people, but he's old. He's getting to the end of his run here. He's talked about retirement multiple times, I think even this week. So never a good sign at all. When the guy starts mentioning the R word, especially after 2 straight finish losses, it's never a good sign. So I kind of like Moicano here.
Do you think it's a matter of like Beneil kind of realizing he hit his ceiling? He fought Charles, he fought Arman, lost both times. He's also fought like Tony. Like he's fought so many names, never reached title contention. It just might be it for him.
Yeah, it is. He a couple of years ago when he was on this run, he kept talking shit that he wasn't getting the title shot. And then he lost finally. So like he didn't really have a leg to stand on anymore. So I think he's just done. Like you said, he's just checked out. He's already later in his career. Like we said, he's really involved in the church, and like I don't think he necessarily like needs the money to fight anymore. This might just be this might be the send off. Honestly,
I was going to ask you: Do you think this could turn into a gloves in the middle type of deal, depending on how this fight goes?
It could. I know Moicano's not retiring like at all. He could lose here, and he's still not going to retire. But I don't think he will. I think he's kind of building up some momentum here. He's got to get it back. He just lost the title, but again, he got a huge payday. He's still trying to make more money here. You got to stay at the top of the division. I think this is a winnable fight if he can find the takedown first round and scramble with Dariush enough, I don't think he's going to be able to really outstrike Dariush, but again, Dariush is getting older, so you don't really know what Dariush is going to show up in there. Moicano might look minus 500, and it's a pick 'em right now, so I feel really comfortable with that. I'm going to bet Money Moicano here.
Let's go.
Getting good value on Moicano if you're listening to us live, and it'll probably shift around between now and fight day as well. So if you want to lock that in, get involved at BetOnline or wherever you're shopping. All right, last three. I'm really excited to hear you talk about this one. We've talked about this guy recently because he just fought a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I can't remember exactly when it was, but Joshua Van taking on Brendan Royval. Van minus 140 here. Royval plus 110. I know you like Van. We talked about him. Was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? I feel like it was recently.
Yeah, he fought 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Are we liking Van again today, or do you think that Royval has a chance in this fight?
I don't know, man. This very weird line movement on this fight. I will say, Royval opened minus 200. It might have been a mistake or something because the line flipped immediately, and I think Van got as high up as minus 180, and then now it crashed all the way back down to Royval to minus 120. Van, I think this is probably a more accurate line. It's probably where it should have been the whole time around to pick 'em. Royval's a very violent fighter, man. He just causes chaos, and we've seen Van lose in chaos. A couple of years ago, he's really active, and I think this is going to start biting him in the ass a little bit. He doesn't get hit much, but it's just like between sparring and like 6 fights in 6 months, like that's not healthy. Like you can't do that. Like, brain damage is a real thing. This kid is such a prospect that I would hate to see it kind of like catch up to him in that way. But Royval's a guy, like I said, he just kind of shines in the chaos. So I wouldn't be surprised if he lands something big here on Van. So he's a very opportunistic submission artist as well. So I think if Van is getting touched up a little bit and decides to wrestle because he does actually have that in his game, he might put himself into something. Royval might find a submission here, or I don't really find value on either side of this. It's just going to be a great fight. It's like it's a number 1 contender fight. The pick'em line is entirely accurate. You know, I think it's a real 50-50 fight. This fight's going to be made within the chaos. Whoever's thriving within the chaos is who's going to win at the end of the day. Like, I don't even necessarily think it's who creates the chaos. I just think it's who survives within it. And we'll see how it is. Royval usually does a great job coming out on top on those. So I don't have a bet here. And I don't even really feel confident giving you a pick here. I do think it's truly 50-50. Like Royval can give him the veteran lesson, the big step up in competition for Van, or Van can kind of just continue cruising. That pocket boxing he has is unreal. It's kind of looked not many people have been able to deal with it. So
and
we'll see how it goes.
Brandon coming off 2 like fight nights where he was the main event, so he's going to be excited to now be on this card and taking on the kid. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, his only loss in the last like 5 is to Pantoja, right?
Who Royval? Yeah. Yep. And he didn't do too bad in that fight. He started landing late. I think he took the 5th round on the scorecard. So he got dominated early, but like I said, he's got the skills to beat Van. I don't know if this is too much too soon for Van. He's still very young, but again, it's 2nd fight in a row too for Royval where he's taken on a top prospect. That win over Tyra is a very good win. It's a solid win. Tyra's a great grappler, and he was able to just outpoint him, outstrike him over the course of 5. I mean, he both of his last 2 wins are very close fights. Like, both split decisions, but this fight kind of has a split decision written all over it too, if I'm being honest. That's why I think the line's pretty on point. I'm not really too confident giving you a side, like a pick on each way. It's very 50-50. If anything, I'd probably take the UFC experience of Royval.
If this could be also one of those situations too, like you talked about with the line jump over the last 3 or 4 days, we might see maybe another shift between now and Saturday, which could determine maybe you decide a side based on the line movement necessarily. But as we see it right now, pretty much as a pick 'em, like you said, there's nothing wrong at this particular point in the evening too. It's 10 Central, 11 Eastern. You know, you're probably a few beverages deep at this point in the card. Nothing wrong with just sitting back and watching some good old fashioned violence in this fight and enjoying both of these guys continuing to make a name for themselves. before you get into the co-main event and the main event too. So,
yeah.
All right, we've made it to the co, and this one's both of these actually. The lines are very interesting on both of these fights. So I'm interested to hear kind of your thoughts on that aspect of this. Again, if you're watching us live later on YouTube in the week, we appreciate you tuning in. Give us a like and a subscribe right here on the channel. And if you're watching us live right now with us, thanks for tuning in on Thursday. And I hope you're having a fantastic Thursday evening out there. Alexandre Pantoja versus Kara France. Plus 200 is Kara France. Pantoja minus 265. Interesting line, in my opinion. What do you think? What are your thoughts? What are your bets in this fight?
Talk about their history a little bit, because these guys go back.
Yeah, it's a rematch. This is a rematch. I think I believe it was the Ultimate Fighter they fought on.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the Ultimate Fighter they fought on. Pantoja won a split decision. It was only a 2-round fight, though. So it's like they didn't really get to go down. So you can only put too much stock into it. But KKF landed some big punches in that fight, and Pantoja did what he always does, ate them, and still found a takedown. And like, I kind of feel like this fight's gonna go almost the same way. Kara France has got decent takedown defense, but he always gives his back. He gives his back to like anybody that tries to take him down. Gave his back to Moreno. Any of these grapplers that try to get him down, he gives his back at some point. Pantoja is probably the one fighter that you cannot give your back at any point. Like if you slip up and give him your back once or for a second at all, he's going to find the choke and finish. So like, I kind of lean that here. I don't think Pantoja is going to grind him out. I think he's going to find his back and find a submission here. I think he's going to keep rolling. That's why I think I like the line. I think the line is where it's at. I like it, honestly. I think there's value in it. I think Pantoja is going to grapple fuck the shit out of this guy. I think by the time Pantoja's striking defense goes out the window, which is like the 4th and the 5th round, Kara France is not going to have the power to put him down. He's already going to been the lactic acid's already going to be built up by trying to grapple for 3 rounds, and he's going to be tired too. And I think what Pantoja does is it's just so dominant. It's almost kind of like what Merab does and what Khabib did, but it's different in my opinion because he's hunting subs the whole time. And if he doesn't get the takedown, he shoots again and again and again, and then he gets it. And even if he gets it and the guy gets up, he just takes him right back down. It's exhausting. It's relentless. And I think it's going to take a special fighter to beat him. And I don't know if it's KKF. Like I said, I like a Pantoja sub here. I like a Pantoja money line here. I don't think this sees the judges' scorecards by any means. I think this Pantoja's been going to decision a few too many times in my opinion. He is a kill or be killed fighter, and we can't forget that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Official bet sub, or just kind of waiting to see?
Probably sub.
See in a bozo sub. Okay. Is
Yeah.
he going to be in a bozo pack? I mean, it's minus 265. I know you're not laying that juice, but
possibly. Well, that's the point of the bit. That's the point of the bozo, you know. Tracy Cortez is minus she's like minus 275. You get Cortez, you get Pantoja, you get a minus 110, and that's cool with me, you know.
Yeah. You said Cortez earlier, and I was like, it sounds like maybe we get into this fight. That sounds like a good spot for it. All right, boys, we made it to the main event. Any other thoughts on the co, or are we good to roll into the main event?
Nah, man, and still.
Topuria taking on Charles Oliveira. Oliveira, big dog here, plus 340. Topuria, minus 500. Like I said when we started off here, both of these guys very respected. It seems like they respect each other. With what we saw, obviously leading up to the fight, and obviously the nose to nose in the weigh-ins and the press conferences and stuff. But when we get in that octagon, two very violent dudes. Go ahead, man. What do you think about this?
So there's a pretty decent little size advantage here for Charles Oliveira, but I don't think it's going to matter. Topuria is he's a different breed. He's the next level. If there is another level, he's there. He kind of shines above. Look at what he's done to Volkanovski. Look at what he did to Max Holloway. He made both of those look so easy, like so easy. And the last fighter that, like, in those two guys didn't even willingly engage with him. He had to kind of hunt them down.
Yeah.
Last fighter that willingly engaged with him was Josh Emmett, and he beat the absolute dog shit out of Josh Emmett for 5 rounds. That was the most dominant fight I've ever seen. I think that should have been like a 50-43 scorecard. It was multiple 10-8 rounds. Like he just put it on Josh Emmett, and Josh Emmett just kept coming forward. He kept wanting to trade with him, and he just kept getting his ass kicked. That's how Charles fights. He's fought that way his whole career.
Yep.
He's saying it all week. That's what he's going to do. He's going to walk forward. He's going to blah, 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 blah. And I saw what Justin Gaethje did to him. I saw what Michael Chandler did to him. They've all landed big punches and put him down. Topuria, the one difference between those couple guys I just mentioned, they weren't going to follow Charles to the ground. Once they hurt Charles, they made him get back up. And by letting him get back up, you almost give him another opportunity. Topuria is going to follow him to the ground. He is not scared of his ground game whatsoever. I even think there's a big opportunity for Topuria to find a submission here. I actually think he might even try to make a point by submitting Charles. And
Wow.
if we're being honest, because Charles is known for his submission game.
Yep.
So to make a big statement in this division is you move up and you sub the best sub artist. That would be such a statement, in my opinion. And
exclamation point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this fight, it's going to be violent. Like I said, Topuria is like the biggest star the UFC has had in a long time. Like,
and he knows how to be a star.
Yeah, exactly. He's very well media trained, and the skills match. The skills matched. You know, like Sean was one of the bigger stars they had, but the skills kind of just haven't lived up to what his words are. Anything Topuria says, he just does. He's just doing it. And
did you see that thing, Chris, that Topuria went to the government of Spain? And in their Olympic training facility, he actually had them add in a cage, and he did his whole entire training camp there because he said, I'm the high-level athlete. I'm trying to bring the sport up to that level, so I should be next to all the other elite-level Spanish athletes. It was dope to see. And Triz, do you believe that he'll walk into this fight at 179?
Yeah, I believe he was walking into featherweight fights at 170. 100%. He's short, his stature is smaller, but he's thick. Like I could see how the 145 weight cut was a little tough for him. I could kind of see it. Like you could see it in his face. He was kind of getting sucked out for some cuts. So I mean, granted, he was knocked down in his only lightweight bout by a head kick, but he's been dropped by other head kick. I think he got dropped on by a head kick in like his last fight before the UFC, and he still knocked that dude out too. You got to imagine at this point with the level of training, the level of coaching he has, those head kicks that he ate then he probably don't land now. So I think you're probably safe there. His hands are just so powerful. I know that power is going to translate. What he did to Jai Herbert is like, he put Jai Herbert on a real down skid. Like Herbert's chin was kind of like before, and then Topuria really put the stamp and seal on that. Like that shit was gone.
That
like
chin was dunzo.
He was, and he was a division up, and he put that dude's lights out flat. So I think he's got the power to hang in this division. I think he's going to be a champ in this division for a while. He's the biggest star in the sport. Biggest star in Europe. He's one of the biggest stars in Europe. Like Real Madrid posts him all the time. He does shit for the Spanish government. Like Sukh was just saying, as far as like that whole training stuff, he's like advocating for MMA in Spain and in Europe.
He has his own promotion.
Yep, he's got his own promotion. He's like one of the biggest stars like the UFC has had. And I don't want to compare him to McGregor because he compares himself to McGregor, and it's really cringe. But in a lot of ways, he's getting to that level. He's like I said, Real Madrid's the most followed sports team in the entire world, and they post him all the time. He's always at the games. It's like he's a superstar.
Talking mad shit to the Dagestanis at the same time.
Yeah, he is a superstar. So it's just another belt for him. Charles does decent as an underdog. I've seen some people playing like devil's advocate there this week, but if you look at the fights Charles is winning at underdog odds, he's like a plus 140, a plus 150. In these fights, like he was a crazy underdog against Islam, and he just gets dominated when he's a big wide underdog. I think this line's really telling. I think this fight probably ends round 1.
Oh, well, he's going to keep his promise then. He's promising left and right that he's going to get it within the first 2 minutes.
I don't know about the first 2 minutes. It might be a little harder than that, but like I do think it's first round. It's just how Charles fights. It's hard. It's exactly how Charles fights. He's never changed, and
you're not going to change at 35. You're not.
No.
Respect to that. So what's your favorite way to bet this fight then? I know because you're not laying the minus 500 obviously for him to get the job done. Do you have a particular? What's the angle you're thinking of here?
I'm looking at the under 1.5. I really like I like the under 1.5. I don't see how it gets later.
Main event at 1.5 being the line is whack.
That also should be very telling to you. In a 5-round fight, the books set the total at 1.5. It's
crazy.
Like they're showing the hand there. You know what I mean? They're kind of showing you what's going to happen there. So I like that. And then I touched off of it before. I do think Topuria might be trying to make a statement here. The KO prop is juiced to hell. I think he might try to come in here and sub the highly decorated submission artist of the new division he's in. So maybe he hurts him. Maybe he hurts him, follows him to the ground, and gets a sub. He has a crazy Darce choke. Charles is known to tap rather quickly. Multiple times he's tapped very quickly. So we'll see what happens. But I think it's Topuria and new because it's a new belt. But I think it's Topuria, and the line makes sense.
Nice. Well, it should be a banger. Hopefully it is to finish off this card in Vegas on Saturday night. Let's finish off with the fun question. We've gone through every fight with you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed what Trizzy had to say for everything that we're going to see at UFC 317. Like I said, if you've been watching us on YouTube on Friday or on Saturday leading up to the event, give us a like and a subscribe right here on the channel. And obviously go check out all of our content at bettingnews.com. And all the people tuning in live right now, we appreciate you being here. Before we leave, question from the chat. Love to hear your thoughts on this since it's kind of a hypothetical situation. Islam or Ilya at 155? Who would you take in that fight?
At 155?
That was the question.
I think Ilya's got a real chance at 55. Like, real chance. Ilya's talking about going up to 170 to fight him, and then I think he's kind of cooked. I think he's cooked there. Well, I think Islam draining himself. I think Islam sucking himself out and needing like IVs and shit to come back. I think 155 is a different fight. He talks shit about the Dagestani wrestling, and he kind of has a point. Georgians are the only ones that have been able to deal with it, really. So,
what weight do you think the fight does happen, though?
I don't know. I am not sure. I was very convinced John Jones was going to fight Tom Aspinall. So, like, I don't really know anymore. Maybe.
Sure.
You might want to milk that shit a little bit longer, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Well, regardless of what we see, we're going to have fun on Saturday. Like I said, it's going to be a great event in Vegas. Hopefully we get a fantastic pay-per-view event. We've had some really good ones, and we've had some MANF ones this year. Hopefully we get a really good one with two guys looking to make their stamp on the middle of this season. And Topuria, obviously, as you said, the superstar ability. Maybe he rises to yet another level after this fight. Chat, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, if you're watching us on YouTube later, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope this was helpful for you betting this event, and hopefully it'll help you enjoy the event a little bit better. Please go follow us on all the socials and follow us at bettingnews.com and get involved with all of our content we have there. Please go follow Trizzy Bets as well at Trizzy_bets on Twitter. He posts his entire card and his analysis for you guys. And obviously, as you can see, knows a shit ton about the UFC. So get involved with what he's got. Go follow my man, producer Sukh at Jess Sukh as well. Go follow me at Sweatpan Jesus. Go follow all of us at Your Betting News on all the socials as well. Get involved with all of our content, like I mentioned. And big shout out to our sponsors at Bet Online for helping us out on the channel. And obviously, go bet this event at Bet Online with the sharpest lines in the business. Boys, you guys have anything else you want to touch on before we close this out and get out of here?
No, sir. 2 more days, man. 2 more days. Just counting the hours down. Just counting the
hours. Feels weird that I'm not going to get violence in a few hours here. Going to have to wait 48.
I know. Well, if you're watching this, maybe you're watching the replay of this on YouTube. Maybe you're watching it literally right before the fight starts. So if you're one of those people, go crack a beer and enjoy what you're about to see in Vegas. Everybody else, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys so much. You guys came for the winners and you stayed for the vibes. Feel free to give us a like and a follow, like I said, on any of the platforms. And we will catch you on the next one. Take it easy, Chad. Have a good one. Peace.
What you know about rolling down in the deep?